Gut health supplements aren't what you think they are. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to talk all about gut health. In particular, we're going to focus on gut health supplements, if they actually work, and what you can do naturally to support your gut health. Gut health is a huge topic right now, and we see so many different companies coming up with their own gut supporting supplements. And they make a lot of different promises like reducing bloating, improving digestion, getting rid of toxins, supporting weight loss, and so much more. But are gut health supplements actually what you need for a healthy gut? Or are a lot of these just flat out scams that aren't going to do much for you? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Plus, we're going to talk about the real secret to supporting better gut health and natural ways to support your gut health. All right, so let's get started. What is gut health? With everyone throwing around the phrase gut health, what does that even mean? Well, to be honest, gut health is a bit of a buzzword, but there is importance behind it. So our gut is part of a larger system known as our digestive system. But when we're specifically talking about our gut, we're usually talking about our small intestine as well as our large intestine. So our small intestine is responsible for breaking down foods and helping to absorb nutrients. Majority of the nutrients that we get through food are absorbed in our small intestine. So this includes things like fats, carbs, proteins, vitamins, as well as minerals. Our large intestine comes after our small intestine and is mostly responsible for stool production. And basically the way it does this is it takes digested food and it absorbs any extra water, so it removes the water from it, making a stool. Within our large intestine also exists our gut microbiome, which is a huge topic on its own. When your gut is working properly, it means that your small intestine and your large intestine are doing their job, so digesting and absorbing nutrients and stool production. And that's the most simple explanation of what a healthy gut is. But what is poor gut health? Poor gut health is a bit of a vague term, and again, it's a bit of a marketing thing. The reason why is because when we're talking about our gut and different gut issues, there are so many different things that could be going on. So they could be having different symptoms, different causes of the symptoms, as well as different treatment requirements. So for example, there are actual diseases of the gut known as ulcerative colitis as well as Crohn's disease. This is an immune response where the immune system is actually attacking healthy gut tissue and breaking it down. There's also celiac disease, which is a condition in which the body views gluten as an invader, and it's another immune response, so it starts to actually deteriorate your intestinal lining because you're consuming gluten. And this can result in severe nutrient deficiencies. There are also conditions like IBS, which is very, very complicated and not fully understood yet. But with IBS, it can present with different symptoms like diarrhea, constipation, a mix of the two, gas, bloating, pain, and so on. Then we have SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial growth. And basically with this, bacteria from your large intestine goes up into your small intestine and overpopulates, leading to different unwanted symptoms like gas, bloating, and pain. And then on top of all of that, we have general gut issues. So for example, someone may experience unwanted bloating, or maybe they feel constipated when they travel. So as you can see, gut health is very complicated. And when you say poor gut health, it's not very specific. Okay, so you may be wondering, so what? So you might be wondering, why are you even talking about this? The reason why it's important to understand good gut health versus poor gut health is because a lot of companies take advantage of these terms, and they use these terms to sell their products. And it's important to understand that somebody who has poor gut health will require a different treatment than somebody else. Yet with companies, they oftentimes try to generalize gut health so that you can take one product and it's a one-stop shop for everybody. And so these companies are deliberately vague about the terms they use. They oftentimes just say better gut health or support gut health because it's easier to avoid giving specifics on what their product will do, or spoiler alert, not do. And then it's hard to argue that the product didn't work because they said it's going to support general gut health. And how do you detect that if you're not specific with what you're looking for? Here's the thing. If somebody is experiencing bloating, which again is very, very common for companies to say their product's going to help with that, it could be caused from so many different things. So for example, you might feel bloated just because you ate too quickly or you ate too much food in one sitting. Maybe you ate something that went bad. Maybe you're stressed and you're not digesting food as well as you could, because remember, your gut is heavily tied to your body's stress response. Or potentially maybe there is an underlying condition going on. But if you're like most people and you're just looking for relief for your bloating, you might look at an ad that's promoted by a company that says they're going to help with bloating and buy the product because all you're looking for is some relief. Now, if you take your situation and you multiply it by millions of people, then you add on the fact that a lot of companies will pay for a lot of paid testimonials and strategic marketing, you have yourself a very good business model, which is why so many different companies make a gut health product. But here's the problem with gut health supplements. Like we've talked about, majority of companies aren't specific with their statements, and they make general gut health statements like it's going to reduce bloating, it's going to help with digestion, it's going to support overall gut health. And the reason they do this is because it can relate to everybody, so most people think that they're going to benefit from it. And even sometimes they'll add on that it's going to help with weight loss because that's something that a lot of people are interested in, so you'll buy the product because of that too. The other issue is that a lot of these gut health supplements aren't supported by research, meaning the majority of the claims that come with a lot of these gut health supplements don't have specific research on the product itself, let alone a lot of the ingredients that are added to it. And one of the most ironic things I find with gut health supplements is that they don't contain enough fiber. Yet fiber is one of the most important things you can consume to support your gut health, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So now we have these products that don't have enough fiber. They may throw in a couple probiotic strains because everyone thinks that probiotics are the end-all be-all when it comes to gut health, and they may add in a couple plant compounds just to make sure that it sounds special. Now, of course, some of these ingredients like probiotics could potentially help some people, but a lot of the time they just add in random strains. It's not a specific probiotic supplement, and it's really not that high quality. And even then, everyone's gut microbiomes are different, so even if you took a product with a probiotic, there's no guarantee that it's going to help your gut. And on top of all of these gut health supplements, if you don't understand the root cause of your issues, you're paying for a very expensive product that may only potentially help. The reality is that if you want to support your gut health and you want to address some of these issues, you need to start with the beginning instead of just jumping and buying a random supplement thinking that's going to help. Okay, so you may be wondering, what do I do then? If you are experiencing some sort of gut issue, the first thing you need to do is get specific with what's going on and ask yourself a few questions. So ask yourself questions like, is it bloating? How often do I bloat? And is it painful? Is it constipation? How often does it happen? When do I notice it happens? Is it diarrhea? How often does it happen? Did I eat some bad food? Or is this something that happens often? Is it indigestion? Did I eat my food too quickly? Do I drink a lot of carbonated drinks? Is it a combination of issues? Do I notice it happens in certain situations like stress or travel? Or is it kind of there all the time? Are my symptoms severe? So for example, am I losing a lot of weight, or do I have blood in my stool? If it is this, you need to seek medical attention right away. By taking a moment to understand your symptoms and the patterns of these symptoms, you can start to understand if it's something that's just happening temporarily, so maybe you can make adjustments in your diet, or if it's something more chronic and more serious going on. Here's the thing, and I'm sure by now you've already realized, gut health is extremely complicated, and that's why even in this video it's hard for me to just talk about gut health generally without going on a few side trails to talk about other things, because it's so complicated and nuanced. The first thing to point out though is that if you are experiencing gut issues, they're not going away through, diet modifications or just over time. It is very important that you seek the advice of a healthcare professional. The reason why is because they can go through your own unique medical history, talk about your lifestyle, look at your symptoms more, and even run some tests to help you pinpoint what's going on. Do not just start buying random gut health supplements because you think that's going to address the root cause. These companies are extremely good at promoting their products for supporting gut health, and I do find a lot of people fall victim to them because they're just looking for some sort of relief and to feel better. But for most people, that is not the right move. If you don't have any issues going on, but you just want to support your general gut health, there are things that you can do with your lifestyle that I'm going to talk about in just a second that are going to be much more effective than buying an expensive gut health supplement. While I understand that a lot of people are just looking for something to improve their health, and I totally understand that, a lot of the time, little small tweaks in your diet, your physical activity, and your overall lifestyle habits can make a huge difference. So for the rest of the video, we're going to talk about ways that you can support your gut health naturally without buying a gut health supplement. If you have more serious issues going on, you have to talk to a healthcare provider because you're going to get personalized advice that way. But if you're just looking to support your gut health, maybe address some minor issues like gas, bloating, constipation, then these following tips might be pretty helpful. So let's start talking about how you can support your gut health. The first thing I want to point out is a pretty scary statistic. The rates of colorectal cancer among younger adults, so people under the age of 50, is increasing substantially. What's worse is this type of cancer is largely preventable through lifestyle habits, and it's the third most common diagnosed cancer among men and women. When it comes to colorectal cancer caused by different lifestyle habits, there are a few things that can increase your risk. This includes eating a low fiber diet, a highly processed diet high in fat, overconsumption of processed meats like cured meats, luncheon meats, bacon, sausages, and so on, a diet low in plants, having obesity, low physical activity, smoking, alcohol consumption, and then beyond lifestyle habits would be family history as well as pre-existing conditions like Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. The reason I bring this up is because so many people are obsessed with gut health, but then they never consider more serious issues like colon cancer. And that's what's really important to focus on. The good news is that things that can reduce your risk of colon colon cancer are oftentimes things that can also help with those issues we were talking about earlier, like gas, bloating, constipation, and so on. So here are some things that definitely can help support your gut health and reduce your risk of colon cancer. So the first thing is to focus on getting more fiber. I know it sounds boring, but the number one thing that you can honestly do to support your gut health is consume more fiber. Hear me out, your gut needs fiber. My favorite analogy when it comes to fiber is to think of fiber like lifting weights for your muscles, but instead fiber is like lifting weights for your gut. When you eat fiber, it strengthens the lining of your gut, helping it work better. And consuming enough fiber helps to get rid of things in your intestine that our body doesn't want, like excess sugar, cholesterol, and yes, even toxins. So getting enough fiber is what's going to help with that. So if you're worried about toxins like the rest of the wellness world, then you need to focus on fiber, not a gut health supplement. Then after that fiber has done all that work in your small intestine, it enters your large intestine and gets to work even more. Fiber helps to feed beneficial gut bacteria, helps them flourish and function properly. In fact, it also helps them produce byproducts like short-chain fatty acids that can reduce inflammation and reduce your risk of other chronic disease. So getting fiber is just that important for your gut. And you want to know the worst part? Only around 5% of people actually get enough fiber in their diet. And the reason why is because most people consume an ultra-processed diet that's low in fiber, yet high in sugar, fat, and salt. And this is horrible for your gut. The problem is because companies can't make money on you eating more fiber through whole foods, they don't talk about it. Instead, they try to promote their gut health supplement that's going to help instead. And that's why these gut health supplements get all the glory, because they have the paid marketing campaigns. When it comes to your fiber needs, this can vary a little bit depending on the individual, but generally speaking, it's advised to get about 25 to 38 grams of fiber per day for the average person. The average person only gets about 15 grams of fiber per day, which is not enough. So if you want to support your gut health, the best thing you can do is eat more fiber. And so to do this, let's focus on fiber-rich foods like what you see on the screen. So let's go through a couple examples. Let's say in a day you have a dish that has 1 cup of cooked black beans. Well, that's 15 grams of fiber right there. Half a cup of raspberries on yogurt, that's 4 grams. A cup of cooked broccoli, that's 5. Half an avocado on top of a salad, that's 5.1 grams just for that avocado. And an apple as a snack, that's 4.4 grams. So that alone will get you around 33.5 grams of fiber. And these are just a few examples of foods with fiber. You can easily Google the fiber content of foods to check. So please make sure that with all meals, you're trying to get more fiber in. If you're reading a nutrition label, try to make sure you're getting at least 3 grams of fiber per serving on different food items like breads, English muffins, oatmeal, cereal, and so on. For the average person though, I don't want you to overthink this too much. I just want you to focus on trying to get more fiber in your diet, look at some high fiber foods and see if you can get them in. I don't want you to obsess too much about gram for gram per day. The caveat to this though is if you are new to fiber, so you don't consume a high fiber diet, you need to incorporate the fiber slowly. Some people, when they eat fiber too quickly and too much and they're not used to it, they can have stomach upset, they may feel constipated, and then they don't want to eat fiber anymore because now it scares them. When it comes to eating fiber and you're not used to it, you have to do it slowly because you need to give your body time to adjust. And you also need to make sure you're drinking enough water to keep things moving along. The best analogy I have is, let's say you've never worked out a day in your life and then you try to lift heavy weights. Well, the next day you're going to feel very, very sore because you overdid it. So go slow, be mindful, and you'll see results over time. So the next tip is to eat more plants. Well, you think that this stems along the fiber topic, and it does a little bit. The reason why you should be eating more plants in general beyond fiber is because eating more plants actually increases microbial diversity in your gut microbiome. In fact, research by the American Gut Project has found that consuming over 30 plants per week, which sounds like a lot, but I'm going to break it down for you, and it's not as overwhelming as it looks, but eating over 30 plants per week has been shown to increase gut microbial diversity, meaning you have more beneficial bacteria existing in your gut, which can promote good health. The reason why we need to eat a variety of different plants is because they contain different compounds that are going to be beneficial. So for example, different types of fiber, different types of prebiotics that help to feed beneficial bacteria, as well as phytochemicals. They also provide gut microbes with different food to eat. So for example, inulin, resistant starches, pectins, and so on. And these are found in different amounts in different plants. So the more variety you have when it comes to the plants you eat, the more benefit you're going to get for your gut microbiome. Now, 30 plants a week sounds like a lot. And when I first heard it, I went, oh wow, that is quite a bit. But when I broke it down, it's not as bad because this includes any type of plant food. So this would include fruit, vegetable, grains, beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, herbs, spices, and even things like toppings or dips like guacamole or sauerkraut. So it adds up pretty quickly when you start to look at your diet, but we'll go through some examples now. So what does this look like? So this could look like having an apple or a peach as a snack, adding blueberries or raspberries on top of yogurt, having oatmeal with walnuts and blueberries. It could mean having a salad with cabbage, lettuce, carrots, cherry tomatoes, bell peppers, red onion, and chickpeas. It could mean having a soup with potatoes, potatoes, carrots, onions, celery, spinach, lentils, and a few different herbs and spices. It can mean just having some veggies with hummus. It can mean having all dinners with a side of 2 vegetables or 2 to 3 vegetables cooked into it. So for example, in a stir fry, maybe you have chicken with a sweet potato and asparagus, or you have beef with green peas and corn, or maybe you have a smoothie made with frozen tropical fruit mix like pineapple, mango, and papaya, or you make one on your own with banana, strawberries, and flaxseed. Maybe you make a beef burger at home and you add a slice of tomato, onion, lettuce, and pickles. And maybe in all of your dishes you experiment with herbs and spices like basil, turmeric, ginger, mint, rosemary, cumin, and dill. So as you can see, it adds up pretty quickly. Now I do want to point out something that a lot of people will be concerned about, which is cost. And yes, vegetables and fruit are increasing in cost a lot, but there are strategies to reduce cost as much as possible. So for example, buy frozen vegetables and fruit, especially if you're not going to be serving them fresh. So for example, on a salad, you could buy frozen stir-fry vegetables, frozen fruit for smoothies, or maybe buy frozen avocado to make guacamole. Buying beans, lentils, and chickpeas are very affordable. You can buy them dry or canned, either work fine. If you do buy them canned though, I would just make sure that you rinse them well and buy low sodium options. Herbs and spices are pretty affordable too, so they're a great way to flavor your dish and add in some nutrition. Also, trying to buy produce that is local and in season can reduce cost too. Even if 30 is too much for you to get, that's fine. Maybe you increase your intake to 15 or 20. I want you to remember that any increase, any improvements in your diet is going to be beneficial. Okay, so tip number 3 is to manage your stress. Managing your stress is one of the most underrated ways to support your gut health. And interestingly, a lot of people have underlying stress and it shows through different gut issues. The reason why is because of a thing known as your gut-brain axis. And basically, this is just a connection between your gut and nervous system. And a really simple example is when you feel worried and you feel something in the pit of your stomach, or maybe you've said, I feel it in my gut. While a little bit of stress is normal, it becomes an issue when it becomes chronic, meaning that it's happening all the time and not getting resolved. And chronic stress can lead to gut dysregulation, meaning that it's not working like it should. And this can present as a change in your gut microbiome, changes in your bowel movements, digestion issues, and so on. Sometimes when we have stomach issues, we may think it was related to something that we ate, but sometimes it can be related to underlying stress. So what can you do to manage your stress to help with your gut issues? Well, there are a lot of things that you can do at home to help. The first thing is to get daily physical activity. Being active is one of the most effective ways, and it has been shown in tons of different research studies, to help manage stress levels. Another thing you can try doing is regulating your breathing. If you notice when you're stressed, you're oftentimes breathing really heavy, really short, and quickly. Well, breathing like this can activate our sympathetic nervous system, known as our fight or flight system. And when we activate our sympathetic nervous system, this is basically telling our bodies that we need to prepare for a fight or to run. And so it sends extra blood to our extremities like our arms and legs in preparation. Because of that, it actually redirects the blood away from your digestive system, and it ends up making your digestive system a little bit more sluggish and doesn't digest food as quickly because your body's more focused on the immediate threat. Obviously, we're not oftentimes running away from things nowadays, but chronic stress can cause that same sympathetic nervous system response, which can lead to gut issues over time. Instead, if you have slow, controlled breathing, this is telling your body that you're in a relaxed state, and this activates our parasympathetic nervous system, known as our rest and digest system. Because our body is in a more restful, relaxed state, it allows for blood to go to the digestive system and for it to function like it should. So by making sure that you're controlling your breathing properly, taking slow, deep breaths, you can activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which can help with digestion. Another really underrated way to deal with stress is to have fun. I know it sounds obvious, but a lot of people don't do it. And I know it sounds obvious, but when was the last time you laughed really, really hard? For some people, it could be a while ago. Yet laughter is one of the most simple and effective ways to calm our bodies and decrease stress levels. And it can help distract you from ruminating about problems you have going on. In fact, before you feel like watching all these funny videos on your phone through TikTok or Instagram or whatever is a bad idea, a recent study actually found that watching funny videos on your phone reduced stress levels. The key is that you're watching funny videos, not these stress-causing videos a lot of us watch about politics, the economy, or the problems that are going on in the world. And there are a lot of other studies that show that laughter helps to support our overall well-being and lower stress. So by finding effective strategies for managing your stress, you can reduce the overall stress in your body, which can help with digestion and your overall gut health. All right, so I hope you enjoyed those 3 tips to support your gut health that don't involve taking a gut supplement. It is a good idea to run it by a healthcare professional to make sure there's no underlying issues going on. If you just want to support your general gut health, follow those 3 tips because those are going to be very effective for supporting your gut health. And just remember, our lifestyle habits and our diet play a huge role in the health of our gut, and taking random gut health supplements is not the way to go for most people. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you have any other products or topics you want me to cover. And if you did enjoy this video, I would love it if you would like and subscribe to my channel, because your support helps me reach more people like you. And I'll see you in the next video.